Wait.
Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on Jack Kirby's Black Panther. Yes, I'm showing you all this Indiana Jones stuff, but it's showing you that I'm not doing a video where I try to say that Jack Kirby created Indiana Jones. But they are using the same subject matter, right? So let me introduce you to the characters that in the lead story, so I think it's from 1 to 8 of his supporting cast, right? Jack Kirby did this as an adventure series. So if it says King Solomon's Frog, it's kind of like King Solomon's Mind, which kind of took a note from Indiana Jones. It's about artifacts, adventure, stuff you'd see in serials, but it's somehow they're both on the same plane that not only would Jack Kirby borrow from the stuff like, well, we'll get to the stuff that is on, but I want to first key you into the characters. Obviously, the Black Panther's there. On the left, there's Princess Zanda, and we have Mr. Little. Now, those characters are similar to the characters in the movie that is a full inspiration for Indiana Jones, right? And that movie is The Secret of the Incas, right? And I mean, I had to look this up, but I'm pretty sure any indie fan knows this portion. There's the best shot. That's a good shot, right? We can get a close up. Here's a good one too. So we have Indiana Jones. We also have a fellow grave robber here who kind of is like what I think Mr. Little is kind of based on, but he's not as short, right? And these type of adventure serials can have these kind of pairing characters fighting over the artifact. But then here we go. So we're introduced to this character, and I believe she is who Kirby is immortalizing as a separate character. So we have, guy could be Mr. Little, and do we have this other girl? Okay, yeah. So we have this actress who I think was turned into a vicious princess who's after these artifacts also. So you go into the complete making of Indiana Jones, they talk about a serial which is they wanted to do a serial, but it was Don Winslow of the Navy was the basis of it. Also mention the serials themselves, obviously the serials and the action pack of the serials. But then these comic books over here, Zorro, and all these other ones. And then lastly, they point out the treasure of Sierra Madre with Humphrey Bogart. No mention Charlton Heston, nowhere in this book. So, but we have this character, Charlton Heston here. I'm gonna stay on him. Here we go. So yeah, so we have a good shot of Charlton Heston with his outfit, and you see kind of the mix. I'm not expecting it to be exact thing, right? So Indiana in the first movie has a past love interest. The second one has a new love interest, and the young Asian boy. The next one has his father and the evil female in it. The next one has Marion Jones, and the other one has sort of a niece. So just to show you that sort of dynamic that's in here, which is, and Kirby kind of comes up with his own dynamic for his book, right? So, as I showed you, we have Zanda, we have Mr. Little, and the Black Panther, and they're going after King Solomon's frog. And we immediately start, we have this person with the frog, but it looks like he's already dead, right? So, there have been objects throughout the course of history which have been sought after, fought over, and died for. But never has there been such an artifact as this thing of burnished brass. Mysterious and little known, it was the center of many strange and unexpected happenings. Now the Black Panther has answered his call. Will he fall victim to King Solomon's frog? So we see, Black Panther and Mr. Little. He sees the man with the brass frog, but then there's an assassin there, someone who killed them already, right? And then just to give you a quick overview, this book really goes quickly. And Jack Kirby has some high concepts here throughout the idea. The concepts are pretty heavy. The dialogue is very basic for some reason, right? There are moments for it, but it's like, at the same time, you see here, it talks about rigor mortis, and they say this is for small kids. It's not set up for very small kids because he does have some high things in there, and it's the same with his Captain America. But I think dialogue-wise, it could have been more punch to it, and that sort of thing. But anyway, we see the whole mise-en-scene, all the artifacts here. Right, so there's gonna do this. The first 8 issues kind of deals with that. I think the 2 after that kind of deals with Wakanda, but at the same time, it's dealing with the vibranium mine, and that goes into the curse that would happen to people when they took artifacts or went into tombs and that sort of thing. So it's still in that same kind of Mummy, Indiana Jones, King Solomon mine, all that stuff, right? So they have the frog, but the assassin is there, and the Black Panther makes short work of him, short work enough for the guy to run off. And with the frog, they look at it, and it's like, well, it's not just a frog, it's a time machine, right? Now, if it's a comic fan, they're like, well, there's a frog in a time machine, but I'm just saying, if you look at the similarities to the Dial of Destiny, which had a time machine in it, right? So here they get on and then there's also a lot of chases. They're in a helicopter now, and they get chased by this sort of weird spacecraft, mystery plane, and he takes it out. And Black Panther realizes there's some stiff competitions after it, but he points out that the frog has been behind a lot of great tales, right? Of Alibaba, which was an actual genie. It was a monster, possibly Merlin, right? And then we had the Loch Ness Monster, were all things transported from the past by this time machine, right? Black Panther doesn't believe it, but then these operatives come out of nowhere and they're trying to take him down, right? So it's the action doesn't let up in here. And Jack Kirby talks about the series and then the things to come, right? Just taking a quick scan through it. He says, as for surprises, both pleasant and shocking, we have not only to look at the supporting cast in this issues to realize that fascinating one seatbelts would be advisable. You've seen the mysterious Mr. Little. You thought he was dead, didn't you? And then he says, Perhaps you're wondering about the identity of Princess Zanda and her power to command a private army. Well, the story behind that is an eye opener, I assure you, right? So then we get the hatch thing, but I'm not getting into all of that right now, right? So when they get in there, actually Kirby planned for it to be some pages later. It was early. The Marvel screwed him. So Mr. Little gets shot before, and Kirby telegraphed it. So Marvel, in the office, wasn't really helpful to him during this period, right? So Black Panther takes out all these guys because of what happens, but then a woman takes him out, and that's Princess Zanda, right? And the brass frog is hers, right? So we had all this action. It moves really quickly, right? And her dialogue is some of the best. I complained about the dialogue, but she's a lot of fun, right? She's vicious. He's taking that character from Secret of the Incas and he's going totally pushed it further, right? So she has the frog, she has the Black Panther, and she is, it's a cold-hearted killer, right? And then he said, "You're a cold-hearted killer." It's an idiot. You think Little's goal is different than mine, right? And he's like, basically, he trusts Little, but they're both these kind of grave robbers, right? So the Black Panthers had it, and he gets the frog, and they of course shoot it out of his hand, but that triggers it, and it brings this guy from Hatch 23, the 6 million year man, right? And this character's, not didn't they didn't inspire. I don't think they inspired them because the grays, the alien look, that sort of thing. But they have in the Crystal Skull a similar looking character. That's why I put it in the open, right? So then we got issue 2, right? 6 million year man. He's from the 6th era of Earth, right? And it's the one-way time machine. That's what the frog is, right? So this character takes out all of them, right? And we get our patented Jack Kirby double splash page, right? And they try to take him out from behind, but he can shoot microns from the back of his head, making people disintegrate, right? So there's nothing they can do. So Black Panther tries to appease him by saying push-ups are a sign of friendship and servility, and gets him calm, and he want to make him a pet of the 6th era of man, but the Black Panther actually the plan was taking him out. So he takes him and knocks him out. Xander tries to kill him. Black Panther's like, no, right? He said we got to face this as civilized beings, and he's trying to having these nutty characters, and the Black Panther who's the straight man. It's kind of a tough sort of thing, right? So the Black Panther has the frog, but he has to figure out how to get him back to his own age because it's too dangerous, right? And Black Panther takes off his mask and she finds him handsome, right? But he's worried about his friend that he lost. But he actually has some sort of shielding and he has a bulletproof vest, right? He gets his armor, a monocle, and him and Xander are going back and forth because they're after the same thing and they're both grave robbers, right? So at that time, so the ectoplasm comes on it. So all these concepts that I would slowly find out from movies and whatnot are in this Black Panther series, right? So this ectoplasm makes this visual and shows the future Earth from the 6th era of man, right? And this is Earth, but they're actually pods, right? And these hatches. So this is where that guy is from, Hatch 22. And he was brought out actually to stop these weird creatures in the future, right? And uses disintegrator beams to destroy them, right? But then they realize this guy is way too dangerous to be here. So they find out he was dreaming, and that's how he dreamed. They were able to witness this, right? So Mr. Little has a plan. He said, we just have to find the twin brass frog, right? So this is where comic fans are like, good Lord, another frog? But the creature's getting up, and Mr. Little pulls a gun on him and shoots him. And then it's like, yo, he's still alive. It's always a dark gun. They're just, he's actually just being doped up so they can try to figure out how to bring him back, right? And he didn't know that this guy had the disintegrator beam, so he's like in shock, right? But he actually doesn't have any courage, right? So Mr. Little has a plan. He has a plane ready, right? And I don't know how he knew they had a plane, right? But because I thought they were going to her, but I guess they went to his lair, right? So they go into King Solomon's burial chambers to race against time, right? So and we can see again, we have the Kirby style artifacts in the background, and we have the creature coming through this, right? So they fly over to this. They never tell you the exact locations of these things, but they're flying to them in this ship, and we see them. Now this is a little way fancier than Indiana Jones, even for the 70s, right? So, but every Kirby mechanism has is kind of fancy, but they take Zanda with them, and of course they think they're going to crash into a wall, but it's actually a place to land in. It's like, hey, this is like an airport. You think the ancients actually had airports, right? But another plane exploded, but it's actually from this creature. He's woken up and he's had it. He's had it with them, right? So Black Panther's getting out of them. They're on the run. They're trying to find the other frog. It's Abner Little trying to find the other frog. And actually, they think the frog got destroyed, but Abner Little kept the frog. Obviously, he's not going to let the artifact like that go to waste. And the Black Panther goes up to the door to his chambers, but there's some sort of electrical field. There's no lock he can't figure out. But luckily, we have Zanda, who knows how to open this. It's just kind of waving your hands in the right way, and it opens it up, right? And Mr. Little kind of likes it. He's like, well, he's surprised. But at the same time, they have a creature protecting it, and he's going after the Black Panther, right? The Black Panther is going up in his next fight, right? And then he runs into the Hatch 22 guy, and he's like, "Oh man, the chemicals are still affecting him," and he's upset that he can't function well. You little animal. He's trying to get rid of Mr. Little, right? This series here, The Guardians by Al Milgrom, is another good one. So, anyway, Black Panther is doing his best to stay alive against this beast, and the beast overcomes him, and then the Black Panther's about to be finished, and Mr. Little tells Black Panther, just get down. I said, get down, I said. And the creature disintegrated the protector of the vault, right? And then Xander tries to attack from behind, like, no, we got to disintegrate him from the back of his head too. But that opens up the tomb, right? And we see all these nice artifacts for the taking, the treasure. There's nothing to keep me from it. And they agreed. He's trying to stop them while they got to stay alive. And they see all these cool things in there, and they're so happy. And then the creatures attacking, so the Black Panther has to get them out. But as they're looking, they find the other frog. Black Panther sees the other frog, and then the Black Panther is able to connect the frogs, and they send them back in time. Now, if they had maybe a cool dial, like the Dial of Destiny, this wouldn't be as nutty as people reacted to it. But it's a pretty action-packed series. So we had the Dial of Destiny time machine, and we have the aliens from the Crystal Skull thing, because they would never explain what they were, right? So in this one, I think it goes outside of the realm of what was in the other one. So they're still in the burial chamber of King Solomon, and they have many protectors in here. So I think this there's a difference between the series because most of the time you see um, dead bodies and whatnot, and new people to take on. I think similar to the movie is similar to the comic book, where you would have new people in these tombs and these different areas with these artifacts. New people would go, or natives would come and take over those areas, right? These are actually protected by people from the past, right? That are stuck in these things. And Kirby's going to explain that, right? So this guy's here to protect what's going on, and Mr. Lowe finds something with some sort of omega something or another on it, and it disintegrates this creature, right? And he realizes that the Black Panther says, "Don't touch any of this stuff," right? And they're like, he wants to keep the frogs. He's like, "Nope, we can't keep the frogs. He wants to shatter it in a million pieces so this stuff can never happen again." And of course, that causes the whole explosion, causes a whole thing where everything in King Solomon's mind is his chamber is now lost, and they're upset. Black Panther just got to get them out of there, right? But he saw this chariot that's in there. You notice that just like a chariot in the was it the temple? Was it the Indiana Temple of Doom, right? So, but that was just on a train. This is kind of a magical one. It's like a magical chariot, right? And just like the other thing, it doesn't stop. But this one just busts through the walls. And it also has wings. So it's a little more fantastical than the Temple of Doom. And you can see why the Temple of Doom is more grounded and would be easy for more people to get in there. But now they're going to ship with they're going to jump ship from this thing because it has some dangerous fuel on it, right? So they escape. Black Panther was to get out. Of course, it leads to another almost nuclear explosion, right? So they're in this woman's lair. It's inside the capital of Nairobi. I guess she's supposedly the princess of Nairobi, right? And they have him here, but little do they know they're being set up, right? They get tossed in there and have to fight a samurai. Now, this is where you go left from the. I don't think they dealt with the Orient or any sort of Asian subject matter. But the Black Panther is going to be heavy into Asian culture, the samurai, the Ronin, right? And the Black Panther catches the sacred samurai and is fighting them. They're going up against each other. It's a heavy fight. The Black Panther stops them, right? But at the same time, when they get out, they have all these benefactors, all these rich people, the Bill Gates and the Elon Musk of their day in this page, and they want the Black Panther to do something for them, right? So they have these guys, Count Zorba, they got Colonel Pigman and Silas Marner. These with Princess Zanda want the Black Panther to go out, and they want them to find what this samurai is using to be fairly young, right? So they're going to try to find the sacred water skin, right? And this actually like the fountain of youth, which is what they were looking for in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So I was wrong. It actually does connect to an Indiana Jones thing, but it's from going to, I guess it's these Asian territories, right? So the quest for the sacred water skin. So the Black Panther's taking the armor off of that samurai he fought, and he's actually withered up and died, right? He deteriorated soon after the loss. It's like, how can this can't be? He was in the peak condition when they fought, right? This is a great shot right here. Always like that. And this is the book. This is one. I think I had those two books. Those are the only two books I had of the series. I'm not sure where they are in the house, but I believe I had them, right? So you can't believe it. We also see that this woman has been collecting oddities and storing them in formaldehyde or something like that, right? So it's kind of, there's some high concepts in here, definitely. So even though some of the dialogue is a little stiff, Kirby, his knowledge of things was pretty decent, and it's the subject matter, even if it was myth, right? So Black Panther and Zanda are having their first big talk, right? But at the same time, Zanda decides, he's not unappealing. He says, "Do not fight me, Black Panther. I am the daughter of Amir. I wish to be gentle, but I don't know how. To be gentle means to blend your emotion with those of others. Can I do that with one such as you? Can you give? Can you really give instead of take?" And before we had the moment, I was like, "Go for it, T'Challa." And then Mr. Little comes in with his comedy. And she's like, "I didn't send for you." And she shows up and she wants him out. She decided she wants the Black Panther. The Black Panther's seemingly into it. And he wants that armor going back to where it was because it's pretty expensive, right? And Mr. Little's like, "I'm not going without some authentic garb." And then Black Panther wants to go home, right? This would lead to the Black Panther actually going home at some point, but the benefactors are like, "No, he has to." So Zanda's like, "Well, he's gonna make you do it with a nuclear bomb." She's gonna shoot a nuclear bomb from Nairobi to Wakanda, right? And force the Black Panther to do this, right? To get the word of immortality, right? So, I'm gonna let this play out, right? So, Black Panther and Mr. Little go over to these sort of Asian areas, right? But at the same time as they go, they get attacked and another ship gets blown up, right? They survive, and Mr. Little almost lost his monocle, but this guy is like, they're not going to be there for long. He's going to send in what we saw on the cover, a Yeti, right? And they excite the Yeti, and the Black Panther has to fight a Yeti, right? So he gets Mr. Little out, puts his mask on, goes neck and neck, right? He's almost going to get killed by him, but he breaks free. So this is Black Panther versus Revenant, and then Mr. Little uses his gun. That does little help against the Yeti, right? So the Black Panther goes back in. They have a plan. He's setting a trap. He sets fulcrum. Black Panther steps on it, hits the Yeti in the face, and knocks it out, right? But at the same time, there's a Ronin there, and he tells the Black Panther prepare to die, right? So I think, did I have this? So he's in the land, the samurai, city of samurai, and Black Panther's in another battle. So it's action galore in this thing, right? And this is before, obviously before Frank Miller had Ronin in his stuff, right? And this big battle, but since Black Panther doesn't have any weapons, so you're forbid you slaying opponents without, unarmed opponents. And he's like, and Black Panther catches him off guard, right? And Mr. Little's like, "Oh, I got a priceless sword," right? And Black Panther's like, "No, you can't take that." And then the samurai wakes up, but he wants the sword back to cut short his mortality. And Black Panther is trying to talk him out of it, right? So the Harry Carey stuff you'd see in what's that thing? SNL, right? So they're going back to the city of the samurai, right? Which is of course a hidden land This is Samurai City is the last of the samurai culture that's still around. Right? This was begun by 9 Ronin who fled the ancient wars, almost inconceivable, right? So then we go in there, they have the gong, they hit the gong, and then the samurais come out, right? And they see Black Panther with his sword, and they're like, they're not happy with what's going on here, right? But then we have a harsh cut to Wakanda. When we get to Wakanda, we haven't even prepared. We don't even get a wide shot. We just see the Wakandans getting attacked, right? And the Gassi's been running things since Black Panther hasn't been there. It's been, we think it's going to look like a coup, but it's not the coup we think it of. It's General Jakar, right? He is a cousin of T'Challa, and he is connected with the vibranium mines, right? And he was, this is a, well, it's a coup. I just think they should have had a better, bigger, bigger established shot of Wakanda first. But anyway, we go back to this ancient city of samurai. We see the leader of the samurai, right? And he wants to give back the sword of a ruin, but he's like, nope, we don't like that. We make the rules here. So basically, you're gonna have to fight somebody. But Mr. Little saying, hey, we'll do the fight for the Water of Immortality, right? And there also is the Kirby controversy that's going on in the letter column, right? And the gong happens. They have to fight another Roman, right? And this is kind of like a sumo type guy, but he's all muscle. And Black Panther's going toe to toe with them, right? But the guy's getting his shots in. Black Panther's doing well. But at the same time, while everyone's focusing, he's like, I could just steal some of this water of immortality, right? This is what keeping these guys alive, right? So the fight gets concluded because Mr. Little steals the water. But Black Panther's like, nope, we're going to finish this right here. So he drops him. He goes to save Mr. Little, and the samurai leader says, destroy them, right? So if you remember, well, no, we'll get back to that. Right? So this cover should have been done later. Black Panther doesn't actually fight this character, but it's the cover, right? So Black Panther tells them to sheath their claws, their swords, so they can, stay honorable. Trying to talk to them, and he said he's trying to say he's the rule of his own land, and it's leading into Wakanda. Him going back to Wakanda, and he's like, nope, give me your gun, and give me this thing of water, and give it back to them. All right, say, all right, we got it back. We're gonna send you back to where you were, back to I guess it's Nairobi, right? So Mr. Little is upset. They didn't come out of it with anything, but then he's kind of talking about Wakanda, right? And how the vibranium mines got there, right? And they started using it, but it led to these evil spirits. And then we have the Bashanga, the first Black Panther, and then protect them mines. And they say, this is one of the best lines here, if my family profited by this, then why have they never been known to die in bed? Right? So Kirby, as I think Roy Thomas said, Kirby had some poetic stuff to his thing. So he definitely had a style, and sometimes when it hit, just think, when whoever was his assistant, they could have helped him kind of get to kind of punch your dialogue. But how do you tell God you got to fix his dialogue? You can't. He's one of the best. So we got what we got, and we have to pick our points, right? So we go back to Wakanda, and Jakar has exposed himself to raw vibranium that wasn't smart, right? And he's like, he's gonna take over the mound, And it's like, but when the effect shows up, he has the power of a colossus. But then at the same time, now it's going left. He's telling the rumors were true. And he turns into that monster T'Challa was talking about. And he runs off. So they're like, we need help. The ruling family. We gotta, send the drums off. So they sent the drums off. Black Panther going back to Nairobi, right? That's where it was. And we see Black Panther comes back. And she slaps him because he had to exchange their life for that water, right? So nothing's happening with them, right? But at the same time, there's this vial, right? Oh, wow. And then that leads into a big fight between all of them, right? And I wanted to have this point out. That's why I had the scene early in the thing where the Indy's trying to get the antidote, and there's a chase to try to get the vial and the diamond, right? So this kind of, the Black Panther gets into it. He gets the vial. They try to shoot him, and they shoot the vial. And this is ultimately, the Black Panther gets out of town, and the first person who comes is Joshua Itobu, right? He is here to help out the Black Panther. And I guess I should try to round this out right now, right? So the Black Panther's family come in, they hear the drum, and we get an intro of how the Black Panther became the Black Panther. Obviously, his father died, but he couldn't become Black Panther as a kid. So the ruling Panther is holding his ground. He's beating up everyone. He has one final adversary to take care of, right? And the young adversary starts taking down the old Black Panther and finishes him. And it's actually T'Challa. T'Challa remembers his past, right? So the rest of the story is about Wakanda and, him saving the mines. It's not anything that's really close to Indiana Jones, but the fact that this creature has become a monster, this guy's could become a monster, and it's going to lead to the Black Musketeers. He is going to lead to a big thing where it's going to almost destroy the Earth, right? And it's kind of the closest we got to the early thing with this character, right? With Jakara, right? And T'Challa goes through a bunch of pitfalls of some nuttiness here. We help some people, but they're actually scavengers, and they try to steal the helicopter from him, leading them to crash. And then Black Panther is walking, so his family comes to save the day. So they are going to try to protect the vibranium mines, but we see the creature come out of nowhere, right? And they're trying to hold back the creature. And the creature runs off after being burned, but it's still taking Black Panther forever to get back home. And the Black Musketeers, those characters we saw, that was his family, are going to become that. So this issue is super nutty, right? So, but it ends. It doesn't end. No, it doesn't end the fight with the character. His he's stuck in the desert and he runs into these creatures. And then in Wakanda, we see this creature, but he keeps changing. He's starting to change. So, but this is almost Kirby doing like the early thing, right? And then the Black Panthers come out, and they have a variation of the Black Panther outfit and the Cold Tiger. So I did want to bring that up, right? So they have a variation of the Cold Tiger's outfit, right? So I think this is where we're going to end it. The last thing I can quickly say, after this story plays out in Wakanda, we have Kibber the Cruel. This is Kirby's last story, and a lot of people get stolen to this land, and then they're turned into energy. So I don't have any related stories in that to Indiana Jones, but it's just another land that they go to with villainous characters with crazy superpowers. So yeah, I think that's about it. showed you some of the beginnings of indie, the connection between the subject matter that Kirby was doing and the subject matter in Indiana Jones, the dynamic of either 2 to 3 people as your supporting cast. The Black Panther, when he went home, it feels like Kirby was going to set up a supporting cast of his family and his aide, but Kirby was changed, and then immediately these characters would be interacting with the Avengers would be brought into the Black Panther book, not saving the book. So a lot of Kirby's books seem like they're out of continuity, but he's just not running into them. You don't have to keep doing solo stories where they ran into other characters, but this is what the complaint people make. So there we go. We did it. We did Indiana Jones and the Vibranium Mines, or Kirby's Black Panther series. When I finally got, I had, I think, issue 9. That's the only issue I had as a kid. So I bought a couple more when I was in my 20s, and I should have gotten Black Panther #1 when it was possibly cheap, especially in the 90s when, we probably thought of as lower than low. But with Stan Lee's passing, the Black Panther, and then the movie, it turned into a big thing. But ultimately, the Kirby series was him trying to do kind of an adventure, going through these lands and mines and go through these artifacts type of thing, similar to Indiana Jones. Spinner Rack is out.
And so, our adventure back through time came to its natural end. As for this wayfarer, I've learned a very important lesson. If you're looking for the past, you have to tread through the present very carefully.